Now you see on the screen that this is talking about why disciples respect and listen to the Buddha. So this is found in Mahā Sakuludāyi Sutta, and because this sutra is very important, I did a word-by-word translation of it in Sinhalese language and uploaded it into my YouTube channel, where you can listen to it like in a form of a meditation. So this is Maha means greater, greater discourse. Sakuludāyi, Udāyi has been the name of him, and he is also named Sakuludāyi because of his family name. And the story goes that why why people respect the Buddha according to Sakuludāyi's view. And then the Buddha says, that my disciples should be respected for the same reasons if you were to respect me for these reasons. And then the Buddha happens to give 5 more greater reasons as to why disciples really show respect to him. So the summary of the sutra, well, I would like to read this part. Majjhima Nikaya 77 records the wanderer Sakuludayi's view that followers of the Buddha respect and follow his teachings on account of 5 reasons. The Buddha, however, replies that there are 5 more important reasons that his followers respect and practice his teachings. So you are the Buddha's follower, and these must be the reasons why you should respect and follow the Buddha's teachings. So in fact, it gives a full list of early Buddhist teachings and practices. This is why I have picked this sutra for today's discussion. And in the summary part of the sutra, it says that since it is too early to enter Rajagaha for alms, the Buddha visits the Wanderer's Park. So Wanderer's Park is a place where many wanderers, paribrajakas, happen to be. Meanwhile, the wanderers in the park are conversing with one another in worldly ways, not about Dhamma, just ordinary stuff. On noticing the Buddha approaching, the wanderer Sakuludāyi calms the congregation, and Sakuludāyi, clearly embarrassed by the situation, suggests that they talk Dharma, embarrassed because they were not talking about Dhamma, and now they are caught up by the Buddha. So they had that kind of awareness that Buddha is not someone who would engage in that kind of discussion. Clearly embarrassed by the situation, he suggests that they talk Dharma. Sakuludāyi tells the Buddha that there is talk about how fortunate the country Anga Magadha is to have so many well-known teachers, such as the 6 sectarian teachers spending the rains retreat there. Vassana time has been occupied by 6 teachers, very popular ones at the time, and how fortunate people are at that time to have those 6 teachers. Sakuludāyi adds that they are also blessed with the presence of the Buddha. He is an additional teacher, and Purana Kassapa is one of the teachers. Purana Kassapa Makkali Gosala, Sanjay Bellattiputta, Pakuda Kachayana, Nigantanataputta. So these are the teachers, and the Buddha happens to be there at around that time, who is also respected just as all other teachers were respected. Now, the next part says that the people are wondering which of these teachers is truly respected by his followers. and who dwell in dependence on him. Sometimes students don't depend on the teacher because depending on the teacher is hard when the student has doubts. The student who has doubts will tend to argue with the teacher and say, don't listen to the teacher, listen to me because I have better understanding. Sometimes students go beyond what the teachers has to say and also split the community by standing up and saying things against the teacher, when in fact I think this is encouraged in Buddha's teachings, that if what the Buddha teaches is not correct, then someone has to stand up and then speak about it. Someone has to say, this is, this is wrong. Buddha has given that freedom. So here, what Sakuludāyi has, that you will later find out, what Sakuludāyi has found out is that when sometimes Purana Kassapa, one of the biggest teachers at that time, when he was teaching, someone will stand up in the middle of it and say, don't listen to him, he's wrong, listen to me because what I say is right. When this happened, people split. They listen to the student and sometimes they abandon the teacher. But Sakuludāyi says that when the Buddha gives teachings, nobody really says anything. No, nobody breaks any silence. They listen and they really listen. They pay attention, they closely pay attention. They give their ears and they don't divide their attention between other things. And even if someone makes a, scratching of their throat, at which occasion somebody would, hit, somebody make a sign with their knee, Janumattakena. They just give a sign to the other person with the knee, like we do that. Like when we are watching something and somebody is making noises, we don't want to say it, but we kind of give a signal by like touching gently on their, on their knee with our knee, and they learn to pay attention and be silent. So Sakuludāyi admits that they neither those toward other teachers, they neither have respect of their followers, nor do the followers keep to their teachers' teachings. And then, however, Sakuludāyi is very impressed with what the Buddha, with the Buddha, and remarks on how respectful his followers are. The Buddha asks Sakuludāyi for the reasons for this. So, the Buddha tells Sakuludāyi to explain, you say that people respect me, for what reasons do you think they respect me? Then Sakuludāyi replies that there are these 5 reasons. The 5 reasons include the Buddha is practicing moderation in food, and the Buddha is contented with his robes. He's happy with, just a limited number of robes. And he is contented with any lodging. So he will stay in any place. And he practices solitude and speaks in praise of it. Practicing solitude means you live secluded in secluded places, which could also be a forest, and you are living in a remote area, not, disturbed by people. So the Buddha then explains that many of his disciples live more strictly than he does, so that the 5 reasons given by Sakuludāyi would actually disqualify the Buddha from being respected and followed by his disciples. And the beautiful thing about this is that, When Sakuludāyi says, you are respected because you practice moderation of food, then the Buddha says, well, I have my students who are even more strict than me, that they only take very, very little food, just as the size of a wood apple fruit. And that is just very little eating. And my students should be respected, not me. So this is a very humbling situation in which the Buddha has recognized that he has some students who practice really strict practices, and they should be given that respect. And then the Buddha says, these are the reasons. The Buddha then explains that many of his disciples live more strictly than he does, so that the 5 reasons given by Sakuludāyi would actually disqualify Buddha from being respected, and then the Buddha gives these reasons why he is respected by his followers, that he has higher moral virtues, that he has knowledge and vision, that he has higher wisdom, that he understands the 4 noble truths, that he knows the path to awakening. These have been given as the reasons by the Buddha himself as to why students show respect to the Buddha. And then joyfully impressed, Sakuludāyi approves of the Buddha's teachings. That is found toward the end. So then in this teaching, the Buddha gives many meditation methods. The Buddha's followers respect and follow him not for external religious reasons, but for internal or spiritual reasons. The 5 reasons given by the Buddha actually refers to a total of 23 sets of teachings, with the 5th, the path to awakening, forming the main um, bulk of them, with a total of 19 teachings covering more than half the sutta itself. So the 5th one, you almost get lost when all that list is given. All these teachings have been included in the 5th one, and I almost wonder, because the story says that the Buddha was visiting for alms round and it was little too early, so he decided to stop at wanderer Sakuludayi's monastery, and he gave a talk like this. And I almost wonder like whether there was enough time for this kind of a lengthy talk, or whether the Buddha gave it in brief and then came back to the monastery and then elaborated to his disciples with more time. Sometimes, at a time when the Buddha gave a talk, not like today, there was plenty of time and people willing to stay through and listen to the teacher's teaching, and there's no there's no time constraint, no need somebody to pass tea, to keep everyone refreshed, no need to have tickets bought or nothing. They just go and listen because they are interested in it, and they don't even pay attention to the time. They go home, their attitudes, their thinking patterns completely change. And that kind of teaching they never get from anywhere else. Therefore, their doubts get very cleared, and they are free afterwards. And they are also certain to receive wisdom and finally reach the goals. So in this, the Buddha is praised for adhisila, higher moral virtues, then jnana dassana, knowledge and vision, then adhipanya, higher wisdom, and then Chatu Arya Satya, the 4 noble truths, and the path to awakening, which consists of these 19 sets, including the 4 focuses of mindfulness, Satara Satipatthānas, the 4 right strivings, that is Chatu Sampadana Virya, the 4 paths of spiritual power, those are Iddhibala, Chatur Iddhis, then the 5 spiritual faculties, Pancha Bala and 5 spiritual powers, Pancha Indriya and Pancha Bala. Then the 7 factors of awakening, Satta Bojjhanga, the Noble Eightfold Path, Aryattangika Magga, the 8 liberations, Atta Vimukha, the 8 bases of mastery, Atta Abhibhayatana, 8 bases of mastery, and then the 4 dhyanas, then insight knowledge of the conscious body, the knowledge of the mind-made body, psychic powers, the divine ear, clairaudience, mind reading, knowledge of the recollection of past lives, the divine eye, knowledge of karma, knowledge of the destruction of mental influxes. This is the last. So you have on the right hand side where it says the 37 limbs of awakening, you see up to the 7th, the Noble Eightfold Path, you have the Bodhipakkhya Dhammas, the 37 limbs of awakening. This constitutes the entire teaching of the Buddha. If you understand these, this is when you have understood what needs to be practiced. So they include these, the 4 up to this. The 4 satipatthanas, 4 right strivings, the 4 paths of spiritual power, the 5 spiritual faculties, 5 spiritual powers, 7 awakening factors, and the Noble Eightfold Path. And then there are these other practices that are based in the dhyanas, dhyana-based practices. When you have a dhyana, you can practice 8 vimukkhas, 8 ways of liberation, and 8 abhibhayatana, you can practice 8 masteries, and then 8 kasina bases, which also can be practiced with dhyana. And then with the 4 dhyanas, you do little bit advanced practices such as the comprehensive dhyana periscope. You have also found it in Samanyapala Sutra. So this is about the 4 jhanas, and then insight knowledge of the conscious body and knowledge of the mind-made body. So these are all found in this sutra. Additionally, you have psychic powers, the divine ear, mind reading, knowledge of the recollection of past lives, the divine eye, the knowledge of the destruction of mental influxes, asavas. So these are called Chalabhinya, Shad Abhinya, 6 super knowledges. This is also found in as fruits of recluseship, what monks will enjoy as the fruits when they have become true recluses. So as you can now see that this is not an easy sutra, this has everything in it. And the Buddha has kind of told that, I have given teachings in such a way that students, when understood my teachings, are able to practice these practices. So I think without further delay, I will begin explaining the sutra from the sutra itself. So this is the place where it goes on to explain the beginning of it. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in the squirrel's feeding ground in the bamboo grove, Veluvana. outside Rajagaha. So that is squirrels feeding ground is the Kalandaka Nivapa. At that time, some very well-known wanderers were living in the Wanderers Park in the peacock's feeding ground, Mora Nivapa. That is to say, the wanderers Annabhara, Varadhara, Sakul'udāyi, and various other very well-known wanderers. So wanderer here is the word for paribhajaka. Then early in the morning, the Blessed One, having dressed himself, took his robe and bowl and entered Rajagaha for his alms round. Then it occurred to the Buddha that it is too early to go for alms round in Rajagaha. Now, what if I were to go to the Wanderer's Park in the peacock's feeding ground and approach the wanderer Sakuludāyi? So it was the Buddha's conscious decision, like, let me stop at Sakuludāyi's place. Looks like, this is not done too often, but this is also looks like this is not the first time the Buddha did it. Then the Blessed One went to the Wanderer's Park in the peacock's feeding ground. Now at that time, the wanderer Sakuludāyi was sitting with a large crowd of wanderers, all talking loudly, shouting, making loud noises, and indulging in various low talk. That is to say, talk about kings, robbers, ministers of state, about armies, dangers to the country and wars, about food and drink, about clothing, about lofty, beds and garlands, and about beautiful scents, and about relatives, about vehicles, about villages, towns, cities, the countryside, about women and heroes, gossip of the street, and at the well. So at the well is, a place where you go to bathing, and the whole village comes together sometimes, and gossips are passed on, tales of the dead, about those who have died, tales of diversity like philosophical discussions of the past and future, talk about the creation of the world and of the sea, and talk of whether things exist or not, talk about gain and loss. Then the wanderer Sakuludāyi saw the Blessed One approaching from a distance, and he called his own company of followers to order, saying, "Sirs, be quiet, please, don't make a noise. The recluse Gautama is approaching. This venerable one is fond of quiet and praises quiet. He sees that this company is quiet, he will most likely want to come and visit us." This is in preparation for the Buddha's arrival. Like, only if the place is quiet, this is an invitation for the Buddha to approach the place. So there was this understanding about the Buddha among wanderers of other, practices. When this was said, everyone fell silent. Then the Buddha approached and then said, the Sakuludāyi said, "Please, Venerable Sir, come. You are very welcome here. It's been a long time since the Venerable Blessed One has found the occasion to come here. Let the Venerable One take a seat. Here is a seat that has been prepared." Then the Blessed One sat down on the prepared seat, and the wanderer Sakuludāyi took a low seat, sat down at one side. Then the Buddha said to Sakuludāyi, "What is the talk that you are having sitting together here? And what is the conversation that is left unfinished?" And then the Sakuludāyi says, "Never mind, Venerable Sir, for the sake of the talk for which we have now gathered, it will not be difficult for you, Bhante, to hear this talk later." Meaning, there's nothing special. You will hear it later. It's just gossip that we were talking about. And then he says, Sakuludāyi says, in recent days, Bhante, when recluses and Brahmins of diverse sects gathered and sat together in the debating hall, this topic arose. You know, they had a place called Debating Hall. So, famous visitors to the town, it's like a community hall. They go there and then say, I have understood something, and if anybody can defeat my understanding, you win. So usually this is where, you know, great debaters come, and sometimes they put a flag on top of a pole, and they say things like only those who have psychic powers can go up there and take this flag off the pole. And at some point, one of the students of the Buddha did that, only to be blamed by the Buddha, saying that it is like, someone who wants to show the body to attract men. So, uh, so the Buddha says, don't attract people by showing psychic powers. But then the Buddha himself breaks it and say, I can break the rules laid down by me. I know how to handle it. So this is interesting to observe. Anyway, they had a place called Debating Hall, a place where everyone goes and debate with each other. And then on 9.2, Sakuludāyi says, what a gain for the people of Anga and Magadha, what a great gain, what a benefit for the people of Anga Magadha, that these recluses and Brahmins, heads of an order, heads of a group, they are heads of a group, meaning they are the leaders, heads of an order, meaning they are, they have students like monastic order, and they are congregation teachers, well known and famous. They are also ford makers, meaning who bring others across the river of suffering. That is the meaning of ford makers, Tithankara. Regarded as good, sadhu sammata, by the masses, Mahajanena sadhu sammato, have come to Rajagaha for the rains retreat. Now, all these teachers. And then the list goes on that there is this Purana Kassapa, the head of an order, head of a group, congregation teacher, well known and famous, Tithankara, a ford maker, regarded as good by the masses, who has come to Rajagaha for the rains retreat. And then the list goes on. There is this Makkali Gosala too, who has the same crowd, accepted by many people, and so on. And Ajita Kesa Kambali, Pakudha Kachayana, Sanjay Bellattiputta, and Nigantha Nathaputta. Also, he is the head of an order, head of a group, a congregation teacher, well known and famous, ford maker, regarded as good by the masses, who has come to Rajagaha for the rains retreat too. Then the seventh one here is the Buddha, the recluse Gautama, the head of an order, sasana. He has a sasana of venerable monks, and he has established a bhikkhu sasana and bhikkhuni sasana, upasakas, upasikas. So he is the head of a group, and he is a teacher and well known and famous, a ford maker, Tithankara. He also tells people how to cross over the flood of samsara. So all these teachers are having the same characteristics when people understand them, regarded as good by the masses. Many people say he is also sadhu sammata. He is famous. He is regarded as a good teacher. So he is And then this question comes. Now, of these recluses and okay, he too has come to Rajagaha for the rains retreat. That is the Buddha who's living in Rajagaha. And then this question arises. Now, of these recluses and Brahmins, heads of an order, heads of a group, congregation teachers, well known and famous, ford makers, regarded as good by the masses, who is the Lord? Revered, respected, esteemed, honored by his disciples. And how, having honored, respected, do these disciples dwell in dependence on him? So this is a question of, that goes commonly to all the teachers, who is very well respected. Then there is this story about Purana Kassapa. There is this Purana Kassapa. Some people speak about him this way. He is not, or he has, although he is the head of a group and so on, but he is not revered, not respected, not esteemed, not honored by his disciples. And these disciples, having neither honored nor respected Purana Kassapa, do not dwell in dependence on him. They don't say that I depend on Purana Kassapa as my teacher. Once, Purana Kassapa was teaching his dharma to an assembly of several hundreds. There, a certain disciple of Purana Kassapa made a noise and said, Sirs, do not ask Purana Kassapa about that matter. He does not know it. We know it. Ask us about that matter. We can explain that to you, sirs. See, there is somebody disruptive here. Once Purana Kassapa stretched out his arm but failed even when he was wailing. Be quiet, sirs. Make no noise. They are not asking you, sirs. They are asking us. We will answer them. So this is like between the teacher and students. Teacher is trying to, ask students to be quiet. I can answer these questions. But many Purana Kassapa's disciples, having refuted him, left, saying, You do not understand the doctrine and discipline. We understand the Dharma Vinaya. How could you understand this Dharma Vinaya? You have practiced the wrong way. I am practicing the right way. I am consistent. You are inconsistent. What should have been said first, you said as later. So you say that means you are not teaching things in order. What should have been said first, you say it later. What should have been said later, you say it first. What you have thought out has been overturned, meaning you have been proven to be wrong. Your doctrine has been refuted. You are humiliated. Go unravel yourself. Free yourself from your own arguments if you can. So this is a challenge to Purana Kassapa by his students, saying, make yourself open. Don't be caught up in the views that you are teaching. Free yourself from your arguments. Thus, Purana Kassapa is not revered, not respected, not esteemed, not honored by his disciples. So these disciples, having neither honored nor respected Purana Kassapa, they do not depend on him. Similarly, uh, okay, there's another line. Indeed, Purana Kassapa is scorned on account of his own scornful nature. Okay. There's a footnote for that, 56. Akuttocha pana Purano Kassapo Dhamma Kosenati. Commentary glosses, Dhamma Kosena as inherent nature of scorn or scornful by nature. So this phrase seems to occur only here. So I am not sure what scornful totally means. I have to Google it. feeling or expressing contempt or derision, like contemptuous, derisive, derisory, withering, scoffing, sneering, jeering. So you have to scornful laughter. I have to look for more word. So contempt is like somewhat negative, I think. Yeah, beneath consideration, someone who is worthless. I see. So he has been, Purana has been thrown away by his students, saying he's useless, worthless. And in the same way, there is Makkali Gosala, Ajita Kesakambala, Pakuda Kachayana, Sanjay Bellattaputta, and Nigantanataputta. They are not revered, not respected, not esteemed, not honored by his disciples. The same story goes like that. So this also ends that way. Then the Buddha is well respected. Here some speak about the Buddha like this. It is this recluse Gautama, the head of an order, the head of a group and congregation teacher, and well known and famous, and a ford maker, who is also regarded as good by his masses. He is revered, respected, esteemed, honored by his disciples. And these disciples, having honored and respected the recluse Gautama, dwell in dependence on him. Once the recluse Gautama was teaching Dharma to an assembly of several hundreds. Then a certain disciple of the recluse Gautama cleared his throat. Somebody did just like that. A certain fellow brahmachari, meaning another monk, then nudged him with his knee and said, "Let the venerable be quiet. Can you be quiet? Let the venerable not make a noise. Can you not make any noise? The teacher, the blessed one, Bhagava, is teaching the Dhamma. When the recluse Gautam is teaching the Dharma to an assembly of a few hundred, there's neither the sound of a coughing nor of clearing throat amongst the recluse Gautama's disciples." So this is something Sakuludāyi has observed. And furthermore, it says that a great crowd of people waiting for him would be eagerly ready, thinking, "Let us listen to our Blessed One who will be teaching the Dharma." A lot of people wait in silence. Just as a man at a crossroads were to press out a little honey, so too the great crowd would be eagerly ready to have a little bit of honey. Even so, when the recluse Gautama is teaching the Dharma to an assembly of a few hundred, there is neither the sound of a coughing or of clearing the throat amongst the recluse Gautama's disciples. A great crowd of people waiting for him would be eagerly ready, thinking, "Let us listen to our Blessed One, who will be teaching the Dharma." Even those disciples of the recluse Gautama, having fallen out with their fellow brahmacharis, give up the training and return to the low life. This is about monks who quit robes. Even if, this is called falling out with their fellow brahmacharis. You stay as a monk and you fall out. You are not a brahmachari anymore. You don't practice brahmachari anymore. Give up the training and they return to low life. Now, this is, lay people's life is lower than monastic life. This is why it is called low life. Hina tang, number 60. Hinaya vattati. Hinaya vattati. Vattanti. Hinaya avattanti. They go to a hina life, meaning lay life. Even then, they still speak in praise of the teacher, speak in praise of the Dharma, and speak in praise of the Sangha. They blame only themselves without blaming others. They don't blame the Buddha for their failure. They don't blame the monks for their failure. They blame themselves, saying, "We are just so unfortunate. We are of little merit." Pinanaya කියලා කියන්නේ. Although we have gone forth in the well-taught Dharma Vinaya, we were unable to live the holy life that is fully pure. They regret leaving. They regret quitting robes. They, having become park attendants or lay followers, they park attendants meaning when monks live in a park, they attend to the monks or they become lay followers, continue to undertake the 5 precepts as training rules. They maintain minimum 5 precepts. Thus, the recluse Gautama is revered, respected, esteemed, honored by his disciples, and the disciples, having honored and respected the recluse Gautama, dwell in dependence on him. Now, isn't this interesting that someone else is praising about the Buddha for these reasons, having observed clearly things that should be observed? He has, things why students respect the Buddha and how silent they are, even when they have quit being monks. They go on to keep 5 precepts and they still try to respect the venerable monks, the Buddha, and they blame themselves that we didn't have enough merits to accomplish what the Buddha was teaching and stay in the order. And look, after that, Sakuludāyi gives 5 qualities. 5 qualities that Sakuludāyi sees in the Buddha. How many qualities do you see in me on account of which my disciples revere, respect, and esteem, honor me? And having honored and respected me, they dwell in dependence on me. Bhante, I see 5 qualities in the Blessed One, on account of which the Blessed One's disciples revere, respect, esteem, and honor. What are the 5? Bhante, the Blessed One takes little food and speaks in praise of taking little food. So, and then the Blessed One is contented with any kind of robe and speaks in praise of contentment with any kind of robe. The Blessed One is contented with any kind of alms food and speaks in praise of contentment with any kind of alms food. The Blessed One is contented with any kind of lodging and speaks in praise of contentment with any kind of lodging. The Blessed One is solitary and speaks in praise of solitude. So these are the 5 qualities I see in you, and that is why others respect you. That's what Sakuludāyi said. And look at the Buddha's response. Suppose, Udayi, on account of the fact that the recluse Gautama takes little food and speaks in praise of taking little food, my disciples were to revere, respect, esteem, if they respect me for those reasons. But Udayi, there are disciples of mine who take only a cup full, only half a cup, or a bilwa fruit. This is a beligedia, not a wood apple I mentioned earlier, but the same size. Half a bilwa fruit, just a very, half a bilwa fruit. That's how much they eat. And then the Buddha says, but Udayi, I sometimes eat a bowl full filled to the brim or even more. So if Udayi, on account of the fact that the recluse Gautama takes little food and speaks in praise of taking little food, my disciples were to revere, respect, and esteem and honor me, and having honored me and respect me and dwell in dependence on me, But then, Uday, those disciples who take only a cup full, only half a cup, only a bilva fruit, or half a bilva fruit, should not revere, respect, esteem, honor me. And having neither honored nor respected me, they should not dwell in dependence on me. So suppose Uday, so this is saying that, why should not they respect those students and not me? There are those students who need respect than I do. And should those students not respect me then? This is a logical question asking the Buddha, that the Buddha is asking. Then the number two is recluse Gautama is contented with any kind of robe and speaks in praise of contentment with any kind of robe. And then the Buddha says, but Udayi, there are disciples of mine who wear dust heap robes, wear coarse robes, who collects rags from the charnel grounds or refuse dumps or shops, refuse from shops, and making an upper robe of them, wear them. So those disciples uh, who wear them then should who wear even lower robes, low quality robes than I do, maybe they should not respect me. Then suppose Uday, on account of the fact that the recluse Gautama is contented with any kind of alms food, speaks in praise of contentment with any kinds of alms food. This is the place. It says, Uday, there are disciples of mine who are alms food eaters, who walk the unbroken alms round from house to house, who delight in the rounds of food gleanings. What is number 73? Um, Unchasaka, a rare application here, a late, often commentary term, rare in the Sutta context, scraps of food obtained from house to house alms round. So those are called gleanings, often in reference to Brahmanical ascetics, hermits, and forest dwellers, especially in Jatakas. All right, so they take scrap of food. Having entered amongst houses, an inhabited area, they will not consent to sitting down, even when invited. So they do more strict practices than the Buddha then. And then Buddha says, but Uday, sometimes I eat, I sometimes eat invitation meals of rice, free of black specks, and various sauces and curries. So if Uday, on account of the fact that the recluse Gautama is contented with any kind of alms food and speaks in praise of contentment with any kinds of alms food, my disciples were to revere, respect, esteem, honor me, and having honored and respected me, and dwell in dependence on me. But then, Uday, those disciples who are alms food eaters, who walk the unbroken, and so on, they will not consent to sitting down even when invited, should not revere, respect, esteem, and honor me. And then there is this any kind of lodging. And then the Buddha says, there are students of mine who are tree-foot dwellers. They only live under a foot of a tree. Open air dwellers. They don't live under any shelter. Who are without roof for 8 months. They only go under a roof because the Buddha told them to stay under shelter at a certain period when it rains, and during the other months, they would just stay in the open. They were very strict like that. And then the Buddha says, look at number 32.3. But Udayi, sometimes I dwell in an upper chamber with walls and plastered within and without, protected from the wind with bolted doors and shuttered windows. So if Udayi, on account of the fact that the recluse Gautam is contented with any kind of lodging and speaks in praise of contentment of any kind of lodging. So there are my students who are tree foot dwellers. They don't live like me. They are living under trees. I do that too. But those who have committed only to sit and sleep under trees, open air dwellers who are without roof for 8 months, then they should not respect me because I don't do exactly what they do. Then Uday, uh, if people say I live in solitary and speaks in praise of solitude, my disciples deserve more respect than I do. There are disciples, I think it's the same pattern in every. And then the Buddha says, I sometimes dwell surrounded by monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, kings, royal ministers, other sectarians, the disciples of sectarians, because all of them come to the Buddha. Because of this, Buddha happens to be in different places. And therefore, he is not really in seclusion all the time, like some of his students are. Because some of his students go to seclusion and they never come back into living in the society. Sometimes, even monks have problems when they live together, and then when they try to escape, to go alone, go live alone. Sometimes wrong advice is given to them, saying, "Oh, don't go. Your social skills develop when you stay in the society," and that is true to some extent. But by leaving and going to a secluded place, they get time to correct themselves. They get time to understand their own nature, because in the end, what matters is you understanding yourself. That is your awakening. So monks then should encourage that kind of practice. Encourage them, saying that if you could go live alone, it would be very good. So that is that kind of advice. And then the Buddha says, those are not the reasons why they should respect me, because then those students of mine who are practicing even stricter than me, then they should not respect me. So then the Buddha says, these students, including those students who are stricter, they have 5 more reasons as to why they respect me. These are the real reasons. There are, Uday, another 5 qualities. On account of these 5 qualities, my disciples revere, respect, and esteem and honor me. And having honored and respected, they dwell in dependence. What are the 5? The higher moral virtues. Here, Uday, my disciples esteem higher moral virtue, thinking the recluse Gautama is morally virtuous, accomplished with the supreme aggregate of moral virtue. It is this higher moral virtue, Uday, that my disciples esteem, thinking the recluse Gautama is morally virtuous, accomplished with the supreme aggregate of moral virtue. This Uday is the first quality that my disciples revere, respect, esteem, honor, and having honored and respected, they dwell in dependence of me. So this is about the Buddha not even secretly breaking his precepts. He is purely established in his jnana and dasana, knowledge and vision, and he doesn't have any reason to secretly engage in the sensual world or secretly dwell and enjoy in heavenly realms, or to dwell in places in king among the kings or kingdoms for entertainment, to indulge in his father's kingdom. These things never occurred to him. These things he let go for good and never went back to those. Because of these reasons, his moral conduct is very, very pure, which is very hard for an ordinary being to maintain, but he did maintain it all the time. And the second reason why all the students respect the Buddha is his knowledge and vision, jnana dassana. My disciples esteem the supreme knowledge and vision, thinking, truly knowing the recluse Gotama. Recluse here means Shramana Gotama, says, I know. Truly seeing, the recluse Gotama says, I see. So, no, jnana is knowing, dassana is seeing. So, the recluse Gotama teaches the Dharma based on direct knowledge, not without direct knowledge. The recluse Gotama teaches the Dharma with proper cause, not without proper cause. Recluse Gotama teaches the Dhamma with wonders, not without wonders. It is this surpassing knowledge and vision, Anuttara Jnana Dassana, that my disciples esteem thus. Truly knowing, the recluse Gotama says, I know. Truly seeing, the recluse Gotama says, I see. The recluse Gotama teaches the Dhamma based on direct knowledge, not without direct knowledge. The recluse Gotama teaches the Dharma with proper cause, not without proper cause. So the cause here is like he's teaching and he gives reasoning. People can understand when these reasons have been given. The recluse Gotama teaches the Dhamma with wonders. So this is the second quality. So wonders, meaning when you practice it, you reach the levels that the Buddha has taught that are possible with the teachings taught by him. Then there is Adhipanya, higher wisdom. Furthermore, Udayi, my disciples esteem higher wisdom, thinking the Venerable Gautama is wise, accomplished in supreme aggregate of wisdom, Jnana Skandha, Prajna Skandha. Impossible that he is unable to see an unarisen argument or to refute by reasonable means of the Dharma, an outside teaching that has arisen, and teach the Dharma in all its wonder. What do you think, Udayi? Would my disciples, knowing thus, seeing thus, interrupt an ongoing discussion? Because earlier, when we talked about Purana, Kassapa, etc., six teachers, it appeared that sometimes those students interrupted the teacher. But knowing the Buddha would be able to refute any argument, Buddha is asking Sakuludāyi, do you think my students will disturb me when I give a talk? And Sakuludāyi says, no, Bhante. Indeed, Udayi, it is not I who expect instruction from the disciples. This is very interesting. It's not I expect the teachings from the students. In all certainty, it is my disciples who expect instruction from me. Students don't teach me, I teach the students. It is impossible, Udayi, that my disciples who esteem higher wisdom would think the recluse Gautama is wise, accomplished in supreme aggregate of wisdom, but nobody would think that he is unable to see and analyze an argument or to refute by reasonable means of Dharma, an outside teaching that has arisen, and teach the Dharma in all its wonder. Thus, Udayi, this is the third quality that my disciples revere, respect, esteem, honor, and having honored and respected, they dwell in dependence. Are you all following me so far? I hope you are. I see that nobody has left, so that's a good sign. Okay, Dayanti says yes. Good. Mhm. So I take it as a sign for everyone being here with me. Now, the fourth quality as to why students respect the Buddha, Shirantinona also says yes. Thank you. So the Four Noble Truths is the fourth reason why students respect the Buddha. Furthermore, Udayi, those disciples of mine who have suffered, affected by suffering, overcome by suffering, have approached me and asked about the noble truth that is suffering. When asked about the noble truth that is suffering, I answered them. I satisfied their hearts by answering the question. They asked me about the noble truth that is the arising of suffering. I answered them. Then they asked me about the noble truth that is about the ending of suffering. Then I answered them. Then they asked the question about the noble truth that is the way leading to the ending of suffering. So, number 40, please pay attention to number 40, where the Buddha says, Udayi, that these disciples of mine who have suffered, affected by suffering, overcome by suffering, have approached me and asked about the noble truth that is suffering. When asked about the noble truth that is suffering, I answered them, I satisfied their hearts by answering them. So it goes on and with the four truths. This Udayi is the fourth quality that my disciples revere, respect, esteem, honor, and having honored and respected, they dwell in dependence on me. Now, the fifth one is the longest one, has 19 things to discuss, and we will discuss them all. The path to awakening is the fifth reason why everyone respects the Buddha. Four focuses of mindfulness. Further, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing which they would cultivate the four focuses of mindfulness. Here, Udayi, a monk, dwells exertive, clearly aware, mindful, contemplating the body in the body. This is Kaya Anupassana. Kaye Kaya Anupassi Viharati. Then contemplating feelings in the feelings. Vedanasu Vedananupassi Viharati. Dwells exertive, clearly aware, mindful. One second. Contemplating feelings in the feelings, Vedanas Vedananupassi Viharati, Chitte Chittanupassi Viharati. Contemplating the mind in the mind. Dhammesu Dhammanupassi Viharati. Contemplating the dharmas in the dharmas. So all these are found in the four Satipatthanas in the Satipatthana Sutra, and I can go into details here. If you look at the first one, it includes the Kaya Anupassi Viharati, contemplating the bodily aspects, including Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, which involves the body. It is because we have a body that we need to breathe in and breathe out. And then in that, because we have a body, we have to have these four postures like sitting, standing, lying down, and walking, and we can maintain mindfulness in these activities. Then you have all the activities. You can be clearly aware when you are chewing something, when you are in the bathroom, when you are talking, or when you are in silence. Even in silence, bahasite and tunhi bhave, you can maintain noble silence. So you can maintain your awareness as to whether you are defiled or you are maintaining purity or you are observing the Dhamma in those moments. And then they have the sutra has the 4 elements, like the earth element, which is bodily, and water element, that is bodily, fire element, and air element. These elements can be observed. And after that, you have the 32 parts of the body to practice repulsiveness, to cut off attachment to physical bodies. That includes the body hair and the head hair and your skin and pieces of the body. That goes to a list of 32 parts. And you can reflect on them every time to cut off, reduce your attachment to rupa, physical bodies. This will help us attain clarity and beauty, purity of the mind. And then you have the 9 stages of a body in decay, and to say that this happens to a body and it is similar to my body. It's inevitable that I will go through the same process. Evang bhavi, evang etang anatitoti. This will be the nature of my body, and I will not surpass this. As long as you maintain a physical body, you will go through these 9 stages until the body becomes part of the earth, no longer a part of you. So those are the 6 things: anapanasati, then 4 postures, then all the activities, then the 4 elements, then 32 parts of the body, and then 9 stages of body in decay. So in the first kaya anupassana, you have these 6 things. You can practice, begin from anywhere and practice, and see the samudaya and vaya, arising nature and passing nature of the mind, and see it very clearly based on the teachings of the dependent origination until you have awakened. So, clear? And then you have feelings, pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neither painful nor pleasant feelings. These are caused by ignorance. We make divisions based on pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral because we have a sakkaya ditthi, view of a self. And if we didn't have that, we will not be bothered, or we are only told to see the reality of it. So we are only told to awaken into it. Then the feelings have been understood by you. And then you have contemplating the mind, lustful mind, raga chitta, and hatred mind, dvesha chitta, and dosa chitta, which is the deluded mind. And then you have Mahagata Chitta, expanded mind, Amahagata Chitta, that mind that which is not expanded, Sankhita Chitta, that mind which is contracted, and then the mind that is expanded, and Sauttara mind that has surpassed some meditative states, and then Anuttara mind, unsurpassable mind. So these are all different stages of the mind that can be understood when you are practicing, establishing mindfulness based on mind's stages. Then you have the last one, contemplating dharmas in dharmas. That is meditation on dhammas such as 5 hindrances, the nature of your mind, so that dharma there means nature. And then 5 aggregates, rupa skandha, 5 clinging aggregates, upadana skandha, rupa upadana skandha, feelings upadana skandha, and the list goes on. Vedana, Sanya, and then Sanskara, Upadana, Skandha. So these are the aggregates. And then ayatanas, ajjatika ayatana, internal sense bases like eye, ear, nose, etc. And then the form, the forms that you see and the sounds that you hear, those are bahidda ayatanas, external ayatanas. And for the meeting of three, you need to become conscious. So vijnana, six consciousnesses. You see they arise in nature. And there arises contact, phassa. So this is the arising nature. And when these things, these ingredients aren't available, the shadow of phassa will not be visible and you won't take it as real. Like when a tree has a shadow, that means there's light landing on it and there's a tree. So you don't take the shadow as something permanent and something real. And yesterday morning I mentioned about the veena player, and there was beautiful music the king heard. So the king said, "Bring me the music." So they brought him the player and the veena, but then there was no music. The king was disappointed. And then they said, "It's not that anybody can bring the music to you. It has to be the player and the instrument should be brought to you. And when it's rubbed against by the player, then there's this music being produced." It's like that. We take music as something that exists, but it is conditioned. Then you have the four right strivings. And then, having said the four satipatthanas, the Buddha says, in this way, many disciples of mine dwell, having attained. So this is very important. Many disciples of mine, they have practiced this and then they dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. They practice. Many disciples of mine do that. Many disciples of mine do the Satipatthana practice. That is what we need to take from here. The four strivings. All right. These are the four strivings. Sangvara, Pahana, Bhavana, Anukkana. So these are the Anupannanang, Akusalanang, Anuppadaya, that pattern. So a monk brings forth desire for the restraint of unarisen bad, unwholesome states, Sangvara. Brings forth desire for the abandoning of unarisen bad, unwholesome states, Pahana. Brings forth desire for the cultivating of unarisen, wholesome states, Bhavana. Brings forth desire for the guarding of maintenance of arisen, wholesome states, Anukkana. So many of my students do that and they come to the perfection. So then you have Chanda, Virya, Chitta, Vimansa, enthusiasm, effort, mind, and investigation. These four, and many of my students practice these and then come to perfection. So let us read what they are. A monk cultivates the basis for spiritual success that is accomplished in concentration due to enthusiasm and the forces of exertion. Chanda. So you have to have enthusiasm and desire to practice. And then effort, virya. You need to make effort to practice. Mind, chitta. You have to direct your mind, concentration of mind. And then investigation, you need to vimansa, inquire and investigate until you are awakened in your own mind. And then spiritual faculties, saddha, faculty of faith, Saddhindriya, you see the ending. Then the faculty of effort, Viryendriya, faculty of mindfulness, Satindriya, that it has to be lead into peace, lead into self-awakening. That kind of faith. Faith, effort lead into peace, lead into self-awakening. And the mindfulness lead into peace and lead into self-awakening. And then concentration, Samadhi Indriya, and then the faculty of wisdom, Panyindriya, lead into these levels. And then 5 spiritual powers, the power of faith, Saddha Bala, power of effort, Virya Bala, power of mindfulness, Sati Bala, power of concentration, Samadhi Bala, power of wisdom, Panya Bala. All these are leading to peace, leading to self-awakening. And then 7 factors of awakening. A monk cultivates the awakening factor, that is mindfulness, that is dependent on solitude, dependent on fading away, dependent on cessation, ripening in letting go of defilements. Now you see, the way we are told to practice 7 factors of awakening, even when you were to practice sati, I have repeatedly mentioned this in other places, that this needs to be practiced with viveka nisthitang, with solitude. Then viraga nisthitang, without any passion. You have to be free from passion and attachment when you are practicing mindfulness. And then nirodha nisthitang, you need to focus on ending of suffering, right? And then ripening and letting go. You need to Vasagga Parami, that is the Pali for it, that you practice letting go of defilements, reaching to different levels through your own striving. We are still here because we are lacking sati. We are lacking dhamma vichaya, is dhamma investigation. Viriya, effort. Then zest, the piti, tranquility, pasaddi. These are, then you have stillness, mental concentration, samadhi, and equanimity. These are all awakening factors. And then the Buddha says, many of my disciples dwell having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. Then you have the 7th one, which is the cultivation of Sammaditthi, right view, Samma Sankappa, right thought, Samma Vacha, right speech, Samma Kammanta, right action, Samma Ajiva, right livelihood, Samma Vayama, right effort, Samma Sati, right mindfulness, Samma Samadhi, right stillness. So that is something that you already know. And then there are these 8 liberations, Atta Vimokkhas. So look at these. And we learned earlier that, these are related to jhana practices. You can see they are very peculiar practices. Possessing physical form, cease physical form. This is the first liberation. So you can see 113 here. Rupi Rupani Passati. This first liberation refers to the attainment of the 4 dhyanas using a kasina meditation device derived from a colored object on our own body. So you take a colored object and then you reach to the liberation. You leave everything else and focus only on that. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and you have only that as the focus. So these are very much relevant to having clear absorption abilities and you are able to play with it. These are like spiritual play toys. One does not see physical forms internally, but sees physical forms externally. So you empty yourself inside and see only forms outside of you, nothing mental, nothing inside of you, nothing within you, but externally. One is liberated after contemplating the idea of the beautiful, Subha Vimokka. This can be achieved through practicing loving kindness meditation, as it has been taught in Halitvasana Sutra or Metta Sahagata Sutra. These are the names for the same sutra. And they say, if you practice loving kindness with 7 factors of awakening, you have it as the culminating end result as you are reaching to the beautiful state of the mind. That means you have reached to a fourth jhana state, because after that you are going to radiate uh, karuna, and that takes you to infinite space, vinyan akasananchayatana. So through the utter transcending of the perception of physical forms, the passing away of the perception of impingement, meaning sense contact, and non-attention to the perception of diversity, meaning you don't see a duality, contemplating space is infinite, you enter and dwell in the base of the infinity of space. This is one vimokka that one can attain, liberation. And it is taught how you attain that. See this clearly again. Transcending the perception of physical forms. You don't take any physical form, not even the jhana forms, and perception of sense contact has also been let go of, and then you don't pay attention to diversity, any kind of vemattata, no forms, nothing else. You only take space as the focus. So then you have the idea that the space is infinite, and you enter and dwell in the base of the infinite space. Spiritual attainment, and this is considered one of the 8 vimokkas. And number 5 shows you how to attain the infinity of consciousness through the utter transcending of infinity of space. Consciousness is infinite and enters and dwells in the base of the infinity of consciousness. Now the nothingness, through the utter transcending the base of the infinity of consciousness, there is nothing. Contemplating there is nothing, one enters and dwells in the base of nothingness. Through the utter transcending of the base of nothingness, one enters and dwells in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Through the utter transcending of the base of neither perception nor non-perception, one enters and dwells in the cessation of perception and feeling. This is Nirodha Samapatti, one of the last and the most beautiful, very powerful vimokkas. So these have been taught to the students, and this way many disciples of mine dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of the direct knowledge. 8 bases of mastery. Furthermore, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing which they would cultivate the 8 bases of mastery. So perceiving forms internally within oneself, one sees forms externally in another. This may not be another, you know, I can't tell by the literal meaning. Limited, paritta, beautiful and ugly, beautiful or ugly. By mastering, transcending them, one perceives thus, I know, I see. This is the first base of mastery. Now you see the word mastery here. This is when someone, as I understand this is when someone has the ability to play with the jhanic experiences they have, in that uh, they are seeing forms internally within oneself. So ajhatang, so ajhatta is, no, let's see, number 118 here. Ajhatang rupa sanyi, you have the sense of a form within. Eko bahidha rupani, so rupa sanyi eko, you have become one who has forms internally. And how do you, like, you don't have any language to understand this. And it is clear that these are talking about higher states. Ajhatang rupa sanyi eko, bahidha, externally rupani passati. You have the sense of forms internally. So what forms? Are they form jhanas? We don't know. Bahidhani rupani passati, parittani suvanna dubbannani. Then you see, you are seeing limited forms, parittani, suvanna with good colors, dubbannani with bad colors. So if it involves colors, then you can see the sense that this may be talking about mastery of kasinas, in which you are trying to focus on a particular color and you internalize it, and you are trying to see the clarity of it through your focus, and you are cleansing it as much as you can with direct focus of your mind. And there are 7 more of those. Perceiving forms internally, you see forms externally. Now this is not paritta anymore. This is not limited. It is immeasurable. Infinity, in infinite number of, forms that are beautiful or ugly. And then you see, you have the understanding that I know, I see. The next one is you empty yourself internally, not perceiving forms internally. One sees forms externally, limited, beautiful or ugly. So now here you are not seeing anything inside. You have not grasped onto any color inside, but you are seeing colors outside, beautiful and ugly. And the same thing, not limited. And number 5 says blue or blue color, blue in appearance with a blue glow. See, you are focused on one blue color that is glowing and sometimes beautiful, sometimes ugly. It's only that blue, like the blue sky, that you notice when your eyes closed. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. And there is another simile for that. Flax flower that is blue. I don't know if flax flower can be Googled and understood. It's this. These blue colored flowers. You see them? A blue color, blue in appearance with a blue glow, or just like Benares cloth, smoothed on both sides, that is blue, blue in appearance with a blue glow. Even so, not perceiving forms internally, you see six forms externally, blue or blue color, blue in appearance with a blue glow. You can focus, perhaps with the skills you develop, You land on places where there is blue and you get the only blueness in you. Only if you were to look at the sky that is blue, then it's infinite, and your expansion of mind, that is where you master it. And not perceiving forms internally, one sees forms externally. There are yellow of yellow color, yellow in appearance with a yellow glow. Now this is about yellow color. And just as a, you know what, cassia flower, let's see what that is. Yellow flower, this. We have this in Sri Lanka. What is this called? We have this in Mihintala area or in the dry area. There's a name for it. Do you remember? You should.
It's a hella.
A hella. Perfect. Yeah, this is a hella flower. So thank you. Just as a hella flower that is yellow of yellow color, yellow in appearance with a yellow glow, or just like Benares clothes, also yellow. Cloth smoothed on both sides, that is yellow, yellow in appearance. Look, this is, when you look at the Benares cloth, although it's a name, native to that time, a piece of cloth that is colored in yellow, and you can master your mind with just focusing on that. Some people are very sensitive to colors, and for some students, it works that way that they can touch deepest levels of mind through this kind of mastery. So with a yellow glow, even so, not perceiving forms internally, one seeks forms externally. Yellow of yellow color, yellow in appearance with a yellow glow. By mastering them, one perceives thus, I know, I see. This is the sixth base for mastery. Not perceiving forms internally, one sees forms externally. There are red of red color, red in appearance with a red glow. See, those people who were sensitive to these colors might have gone to the Buddha and say, can you give me a meditation object so I can practice I can do the mastery. These are called abhibhayatanas. You you master your mind through uh, these kasinas. I know one person who was absorbed into the red carpet. When just before they closed their eyes, he noticed the red carpet. He's a dentist who does kasina meditation, and his mind went into deep levels by focusing on that. Just as a morning star flower that is white, of white color, let's see what that is. Maybe this. Yes, all colors, and you see the white. And even when you are walking around and you see a flower and you stop on it, right there, and you focus, and perhaps that is when you have an entry to a world that is that was not known to you before. So then they see that they have come to seeing and knowing the mastery of. So, and in this way, many disciples of mine dwell having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. Now you have and the Buddha says, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing which they would cultivate the 10 kasina bases. The earth kasina, he perceives earth kasina, Patavi kasina, You see the Pali at the end. Above, below, across, undivided, and immeasurable. Earth, 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 everywhere. Water kasina, fire kasina, apo, tejo, vayo, nila, pita, lohita, odata, akasa. So the earth, water, fire, wind, blue, yellow, red, white, space, and also you have vijnana kasina, consciousness. Above, below, across, undivided, immeasurable. And in this way, many disciples of mine dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. Then there is 4 dhyanas. Here, a monk. So learn the 4 dhyanas again here, if you have forgotten some aspects of it. Quite secluded from sense pleasures, solitary from unwholesome mental states, attains and dwells in the first dhyana, accompanied by initial application and sustained application, and with zest and happiness born of solitude. So I will reread this part. Vivicheva kamehi, secluded from sensual pleasures. Vivicha akusalehi dhammehi, secluded from unwholesome mental states. Attains and dwells in the first jhana, Atama Dhyanang Upasampadya Viharati, accompanied by initial application and sustained application, Savitakkang Savichara. Sometimes Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi translates this as with thinking and examining thoughts. And then with zest and happiness born of solitude, Vivekajang Piti Sukhang. Zest is translated as piti and happiness, piti sukhang, zest and happiness. Born of solitude, vivekajang. And when you have that, he permeates and pervades, floods and fills this very body with the zest and happiness born of solitude, right? And then I want your attention here to this part. I will read. There is nothing of his entire body unpervaded by zest and happiness, born of solitude. Nasa kinchi sabbhavato kayasya vivekajena pitisukena apputang hoti. There is no part in his body that is not touched by joyful happiness. The simile is beautiful here. Udayi, just as if a skilled bathman or bathman's apprentice would pour bath powder into a brass basin and knead it together, sprinkling it again and again with water, so that his ball of bath lather, saturated, moisture-laden, permeated within and without, would not drip. That kind of moistured coolness is the simile given by the Buddha. Even so, Udayi, the monk, permeates this very body with zest and happiness born of solitude. There is nothing of his entire body unpervaded by zest and happiness born of solitude. These are signs that you have entered the first jhana. Now, the second jhana, with the stilling of initial application and sustained application. So you have stilling, you have samatha, you have made it tranquilized, takka vichara, by gaining tranquility and oneness of mind. Chetaso eko dibhava. Chitta is tranquil. Chitta eko dibhava. You know, you have mind's tranquility He attains and dwells in the second dhyana, free from initial vitakka vichara and with joyful happiness. Born of, earlier it said, born of solitude, right? You see, born of solitude. Now that solitude is gone, it is born of concentration. Samadhi jang piti sukha. He permeates and pervades, floods and fills this very body with the joyful happiness born of concentration, born of Samadhi jang piti sukha. Udayi, just as a lake with spring water welling up from within, having no inflow from the east, no inflow from the west, no inflow from the north, or no inflow from the south, and with the skies not bringing heavy rain over and again. Yet the cool spring welling up from within the lake would permeate and pervade, flood and fill it with cool waters, there being no part of the lake unpervaded by the cool waters. So such coolness is felt across the body in the second jhana. Even so, the monk permeates his very body with joyful happiness born of concentration. There is nothing of his entire body unpervaded by joyful happiness born of samadhi. Again, Udayi, now the third jhana. When joyful happiness has passed, has faded away, he dwells equanimous, upekha, mindful and clearly knowing, satima sampajano, and experiences happiness with the body. Sukhancha kaya patisamvediti. He experiences a lot of joy. So you still feel the body in the third jhana. He attains and dwells in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, happily he dwells in equanimity and mindfulness. So noble ones say, this is the place to go and stay in your meditation. He permeates and pervades, floods and fills this very body with the happiness free from piti. Udayi, just as in a pond of the blue lotuses, red and white lotuses or red lotuses, born and growing in the water, stay immersed in the water and flourish without standing up out of the water, so that they are permeated, pervaded, suffused, and filled with cool water from their roots to their tips, and nothing of those lotuses would be unpervaded with cool water all across your body, like a lotus immersed in water, not out. Even so, the monk permeates this very body with the happiness free from piti, so that there is no part of his entire body that is not pervaded with this happiness free from piti. Again, Udayi, with the abandoning of joy and abandoning of pain, and with the earlier disappearance of pleasure and displeasure, attains and dwells in the fourth dhyana, that is neither painful nor pleasant, and with mindfulness fully purified by equanimity. He sits pervading the body with the pure, bright mind, so that there is no part of his entire body that is not pervaded by a pure, bright mind. Just as if a man were sitting covered from head to foot with a white cloth, so that there would be no part of his body to which the white cloth did not extend. Even so, the monk sits permeating the body with the pure, bright mind. There is no part of his entire body that is not pervaded by pure, bright mind. And in this way, many disciples of mine dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. Now you see, I am reading this, but the Buddha was teaching this every time the same way. And he had this exact set of words every time he taught it. Nothing less, nothing more, so that people understood it the same way every time. Now the insight knowledge part, number 12. Furthermore, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing which they would know thus. This body of mine is form composed of the four great elements, born from mother and father, nourished with rice and porridge, subject to anicca, inconsistency, Vedana, Parimadana, etc., rubbing, pressing, dissolution, and dispersion. And this consciousness of mind lies attached here, bound up here. Udayi, just as if there were a beautiful beryl gem of the purest water, eight-faceted, well-polished and cut, well-worked, clear, limpid, consummate in all its aspects, through which runs a blue or yellow or red or white thread or brown thread, and a man with good eyesight, taking it in his hand, were to reflect on it thus. So the gem is the body here. The thread going through that gem is the consciousness. That is the example the Buddha has taken. That this is a beautiful beryl gem of the purest water, eight-faceted, well-polished, clear, limpid. Excuse me. Consummate in all its aspects, through which runs a blue or yellow or red or white or brown thread. So blue, yellow, red, white, or brown could mean Chakku Vinyana, Sota Vinyana, Ghana Vinyana, Jivha Vinyana, Kaya Vinyana, excluding the Mano Vinyana. Even so, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing which they would know thus. This body of mine is form, composed of the four great elements, born from mother and father, nourished with rice and porridge, subject to uncertainty, rubbing, subject to rubbing, pressing, breaking up, and destruction. And this consciousness of mine lies attached here, bound up here. And in this way, many disciples of mine dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. Now, number 13, knowledge of the mind-made body. Udayi, just as if a man were to draw a munja reed from its sheath. So let me read from the beginning. I wish I had some water, but I will finish this before I have some water. Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples. Practicing as such, they create from this body another body. Oh, there is water. Endowed with form, mind-made, complete in all its parts, without defects in any faculty. Udayi, just as if a man were to draw a munja reed from its sheath, thought would occur to him, this is the sheath, this is the reed. The sheath is one thing, the reed is another, but the reed has been drawn out from the sheath. Let me see. This is like a word that is found. So if you were to these are, so you can pull something, off this grass, so it comes off, and they are, you can separate things. So that separation is the example here. And one is the sheath, one is the reed. So the Buddha separates the two. And another example, just as if a man were to draw a sword from its scabbard. So a sword has been drawn, and sword is one thing, the scabbard is another. And another example, pull a snake out from its slough. So the snake is one thing, a slough is another. You have seen this. So just like that, even so, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such. They create form, they create from this body another body, endowed with form, mind-made, complete in all its aspects, without defect in any faculty. So this is taught by the Buddha. We don't have instructions for this, but at that time, this was the thing that has been taught. But not having instructions doesn't mean we can't practice it. Some people should be able to if they try. Then psychic powers, 5 super knowledges. Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples. Practicing as such, they experience the manifold psychic powers. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, he becomes one. They appear and vanish. They go unhindered through walls, through ramparts, through mountains, as if through going through space. They dive in and out of the earth as if it were water. They walk on water without sinking as if it were earth. Sitting cross-legged, they fly through the air like a winged bird. With their hands, they touch and stroke even the sun and the moon. So mighty, so powerful. So the so mighty, powerful stand for sun and moon. They have power over their body up to as far as the Brahma world. Just as a skilled potter or his assistant could craft from well-prepared clay whatever kind of pottery vessel he likes, as a skilled ivory carver or his assistant could craft from well-prepared ivory any kind of ivory work he likes, as a skilled goldsmith or his assistant would craft from well-prepared gold any kind of gold article he likes. The path has been shown to my disciples. Practicing as such, they experience the manifold psychic powers. Having been one, they become many. Having been many, they become one. They appear and vanish. They go unhindered through walls, through ramparts, and through mountains as if they go through space, and go so on. So with their hands, they touch the sun and moon that are powerful and mighty. They have power over their body up to as far as the Brahma world. In clear audience, the divine ear. Furthermore, the path has been shown to my disciple. Practicing as such, they hear by means of the divine ear element, purified and surpassing the human, both kinds of sounds, divine sounds and human sounds, whether near or far. Just as if a man traveling along a highway were to hear the sounds of bheri, conical drum, mridanga, tom-tom, conch shell, cymbals, and dindiva, small drum, he would know that is bheri sound, that is mridanga sound, that is conch sound, that is cymbal sound, that is dindiva sound. Even so, the path has been shown to my disciples. Practicing as such, they hear by means of divine ear element, purified and surpassing the human, both kinds of sounds, the divine and the human, whether near or far away. So this is many disciples' mind have attained and accomplished uh, and perfected their knowledge. And then they do mind readings. This is the kind of mind reading the Buddha says that disciples develop. They know the minds of other beings, other individuals, having encompassed them with his own mind. They know and understand a mind with lust as a mind with lust. If you have lust in your mind, I am here and I can tell, like that. And a mind without lust as a mind without lust. They know a mind with aversion as a mind with aversion. Mind without aversion as a mind without aversion. Okay? Delusion without delusion, contracted, sankitta, and distracted, vikitta, exalted mind, mahagata, unexalted mind, amahagata, surpassable mind, sauttara, unsurpassable, anuttara. So sauttara is like you can surpass it to a level higher than that. Anuttara is you can't surpass it. You know, anuttara purushadhammasarata is used. The Buddha has the ability to tame individuals that is unsurpassable. No one can surpass it like that. And concentrated mind, samahita chitta, asamahita chitta, unconcentrated, vimutta chitta, released mind as, released and unreleased mind, avimutta. Udayi, just as if a man or a woman, a youth or a maiden, fond of ornaments, examining the reflection of his or her own face in a bright mirror or a bowl of clear water would know, blemished if it were blemished or unblemished if it were not. So looking at blemished parts, they can see this is blemished. It's like that looking at lustful mind, you can tell this is lustful mind. Even so, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such. They know the minds of other beings, other individuals, having encompassed them with his own mind. They know and understand a mind with lust as a mind with lust, and so on. And number 17, the knowledge of the recollection of past lives. Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such, they each recollect their manifold past lives. That is to say, 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, 4 births, 5 births, 10 births, 20 births, 30 births, 40, 50, 100, 1000, 100,000, many eons of cosmic contraction, many eons of cosmic expansion, many eons of cosmic contraction and expansion. Thus, there I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance, such was my food, such my experience of pleasure and pain, such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose there. There too I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance, such was my food, such my experience of pleasure and pain, such my lifespan. Passing away from that state, I re-arose here. And the parable of the traveler. Just as if a man were to go from his home village to another village, and then from that village to yet another village, and then from that village back to his home village. The thought would occur to him, I went from my home village to that village over there. There I stood in such a way, sat in such a way, talked in such a way, and remained silent in such a way. From that village, I went to that village over there, and there I stood in such a way, sat in such a way, talked in such a way, and remained silent in such a way. From that village, I came back home. Even so, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such. They each recollect their manifold past existence, that is to say, 1 birth, 2 births, 3, etc. 18 is divine eye, knowledge of death and birth according to karma. Furthermore, Udayi, the path has been shown to my disciples. Practicing as such, they see by means of the divine eye, clairvoyance, purified and surpassing the human beings, passing away and re-arising. They know how they are inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, in the heavens, in the suffering states, faring in accordance with their karma. those beings who were endowed with bad conduct of body, speech, and mind, who reviled the noble ones, Arya Upavadaka, held wrong views, and undertook actions under the influence of wrong views, after death with the bodies breaking up, have re-arisen in a plane of misery, a bad destination, a lower realm in hell. But those beings who were endowed with good conduct of body, speech, and mind, who did not revile the noble ones, who held right views and undertook actions under the influence of right views, after death, with the bodies breaking up, have reappeared in a happy destination in heaven. Thus, Udayi, by means of the divine eye, they see beings passing away and re-arising, and how they face according to their karma. Parable of the city square. Udayi, just as if there were a mansion in the central square where four roads meet, and a man with good eyesight, standing on top of it, were to see people entering a house, leaving it, wandering along the carriage road, and sitting down in the central square where four roads meet, the thought would occur to him, these people are entering a house, leaving it, walking along the streets, and sitting down in the central square. Even so, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such. With the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human, you can see the beings just like you are seeing people passing the crossroad. You can see beings died here and born there based on their karma. Sixth, super knowledge is the direct knowledge, supramundane, the knowledge of the destruction of mental asavas. The path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such, having right here and now realized for himself through direct knowledge, attained and dwelled in the freedom of mind and freedom by wisdom, that are influx free, asava free, with the destruction of the mental influxes. Just as if there were a pool of water in a mountain glen, clear, limpid, unsullied, where a person with good eyes from its edge would see shellfish and shells, or gravel and pebbles, or shoals of fish moving about or resting in it. And it would occur to him, this pool of water is clear, limpid, and unsullied. Here are these shells, gravel, and pebbles, and also these shoals of fish swimming about and resting. So you are sitting by a pond which has clear water, and you can see what is inside the water. Even so, the path has been shown to my disciples, practicing as such, having right here and now realized for themselves through direct knowledge, attained the liberation of mind and liberation by wisdom, that there are influx free with the destruction of the mental influxes. They dwell herein. So it looks like here it encourages you to investigate mind. And now you are seeing fish and pebbles in the mind. You see them in clear water, in your clear mind. And in this way, many disciples of mine dwell, having attained the accomplishment and perfection of direct knowledge. This Udayi is the fifth quality that my disciples revere, respect, esteem, honor, and having honored and respected, they dwell in dependence on me. The fifth one had 19 things in it, starting from we started with four satipatthanas, and it went on up to destruction of asavas. And having honored and respected me, they dwell in dependence. So this is what the Blessed One said. The wanderer Sakuludāyi, joyful at heart, approved of the Blessed One's word. All right, so you all are still here. Okay. Any questions? I know you need to take a break because at 4, the Hamduro is giving a Dhamma talk.
It is a really long sutta.
Yes, yes,
And as well as it has all the things
yes,
included in it.
yes.
Everything. And when I was looking at, I saw that, normally there are Sattis Bodhipakshaka Dharma, but
Mhm.
it has 43 Bodhipakshaka Dharmas.
Well, you can say, right, you can say that way, but 37 was also like highlighted on the side, right?
When I counted, there are 43.
Yeah, so I can go back to, if you go to the list here, sometimes because sutras are long, we don't end up discussing this, but today I thought we have the time, so went on with it. Maybe I had the list way in the beginning. You see here, I highlighted up to this. You see this bracket here, the 7 sets, the 37 limbs of awakening. They have been separated. 4 focuses of mindfulness, 4 right strivings, 4 parts of spiritual power, 5 spiritual faculties, 5 spiritual powers, 7 awakening factors, the Noble Eightfold Path. And all other things that you added are also can be counted. I don't have any objection on it.
I added, I think, 4 noble truths too.
Don't we have it here? We don't, right? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong in doing that. The 7 sets, number 9.
I think the 4 noble truth is just above it.
Yeah, they are. And you can include them into the Noble Eightfold Path or some other thing also. Okay. Let's take a break. We will meet at 4. Anything else you want to say?
Very nice, Bante.
Thank you.
Very nice, and you took such a great effort, and you may be tired by now.
I am, but it is very nice that we completed the whole sutra. It was easy for me because I have done the word-for-word translation in Sinhala and put it into.
Thank you, Hamdroni.
Yeah. So, Nona, you are there, and I hope your sisters are also joining. Are they?
My youngest one has work today.
Okay.